And we are live with Courtney Duncan, Women's Motocross World Championship. I thought you'd have the medal. I thought you'd walk with that everywhere. Is that like, when someone wins an Oscar, they carry their Oscar around all night and they get into every party? Does the World Championship get you in places?
Not really. Haven't really tried it. Although I did sleep with it the first night when
Did you really?
won. Yeah, I didn't take it off. I wore it to bed.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
Hey, so thanks for coming in. I saw a video of yours on your Facebook page when you were flexing significantly by helicoptering into Monaco to go to the World Championship. And that's a World Championship that you knew you'd won, because there you go, there you are. That's a pretty good flex into Monaco on a helicopter. Is that because you knew you'd won it with the second to last race to go, yeah?
Yep.
So you knew it wasn't like who's going to win tonight? It was like you'd won it. Yeah,
correct. So, we kind of went over there, and all the world championships from all the different motorcycling industry sort of thing was there, and received their
So
medals.
when you say all the motorcycling, is it like literally not just motocross? It's
Yep.
So that means you watch the guys. I don't know all the terminology. I do apologise, but on the bikes, on the tracks, they're all involved as well.
So like you got motocross, you got like MotoGP, so like Marc Marquez and his younger brother Alex, and you got like speedway and enduro and stuff like
Wow.
that. So yeah, a lot of different categories.
That's cool, because it feels like motocross looks so different to what happens on the track. Obviously the bikes, but it looks so different that they wouldn't be necessarily connected, but they are.
Yeah, obviously it's all like motorcycling, so we all get together and enjoy the night.
Because you don't see the V8s at the same ceremony as F1.
Yeah, sure.
So that's kind of cool.
Yeah, it is cool. And like for me, I was there, and honestly, like I didn't really know too many people.
Yeah.
Like the other motocross categories, which I think there's 3 of us. Other than that, it was like athletes that I haven't even heard of. So it was kind of cool to sit in and see what they'd achieved and stuff like that. And you get to know different athletes from the different categories.
You've been on a motorbike since you were like 7, is that right?
Yeah, 7. 7 was the first.
And was that like
one.
a little 50cc little thing?
Yep.
With the screw in the accelerator so you can't go on full tit, or was it one of those little things?
Yeah, me and my brother, we had like a 4-wheeler and also had a Sierra 50. So, the 4-wheeler had the little screw and stepdad screwed it right in so he couldn't go too fast to start with. But no, it was good. Good to get started, and since that day it was just like something clicked. It was like it was meant to be.
So that's what I was going to ask. So it was obvious from day one that you were kind of born to be on a motorbike?
I believe so. I know that sounds corny to say, but I was super competitive. I pretty much did every single sport there was at school, and nothing caught my attention the same as dirt bikes did. So there was something about it that I enjoyed, and a lot of people ask what is it, and it's hard to describe it and simplify it down to the one single thing. I think just a combination. I definitely love that individual aspect of when you're on the track, it's kind of up to you. There's a lot on the line, there's a lot pressure on you, and I kind of enjoy that aspect of it. But it's just, it's just something that once you try, I think you've kind of got it in your blood.
Maybe we can bring up a bit of footage, Jace, if you just Google Courtney's name in YouTube, because it's mad. Like when you're going across significant jumps and stuff, how high, what's the height you're getting when you're going across them?
It's hard. Obviously, like everything varies. There's not like a set, size or, height on the jumps. It's not like that. Every track is kind of has its all, separate things. And it just depends on the track. But like we're seeing here's a GoPro footage from, I think, round 3 of the Worlds this year. So,
And so it's a track that basically you're booting around, and it's the same as anything, first to the finish. But there are jumps and there are, this is mad. So what speed would you be going there?
I don't know. Like we don't ride with like speed on our bikes or nothing like that. So it's not like we know exactly what speeds we get up to. So
this is your actual GoPro?
Yeah.
Is this one of those? Forgive my ignorance as well. Do you get style points, like if you do like stuff as you do like one of the big jumps, or is it literally just first across the line?
No, like there's a start line and there's a finish line.
There's
and the first
finish,
one to get across the finish line after the 25-minute mark's your winner. Like there's no if you lead 3 laps or if you lead all laps. There's no extra points for that. It's just simply who wins the race. At the end of the 25 minutes. So.
And is it the same format for all your races? Is that the World Championship, or is it a bit? No, I'm going to use other analogies, so forgive me for my ignorance for this particular brand. But is it a bit like cricket? A cricketer can play Test cricket, he can play one day, he can play T20. Do you have like shorter races and longer races, or is it all the World Championship all set to be the same way?
Yeah, all set to be the same way.
So you go for 25 minutes, and the person who's in front. So if someone's done 300 laps and someone's done 299. Then after 25 minutes, I mean, that's probably far too many that I just said, but the person who's on 300 is the winner.
Yeah.
And that's when they go across the finish line after 25 minutes.
Yeah, so like it's roughly like your tracks are usually 2 minutes long a lap. Like it doesn't vary too much upon that. So you usually kind of get, like 14, 15 laps, I guess. And it's set the same. It's set the same every year and every race. And we got 6 rounds next year, so we've got two races a weekend, so 12 races, and whoever calculates the most points at the end of the season is your world champion.
And all over the world?
Yeah, like we go, this race here was in Czech, I think, and then like we race in Italy, and we got England race, Spain. It goes, that changes. Obviously we have different tracks every year and stuff, so it's kind of cool, but...
And I would think that because your tracks are a bit longer, being 2 minutes, you're saying it's a bit different from the motocross you see in a stadium with a temporary race circuit.
Yeah, 100%. That's like Supercross, so it's a little bit different. Yeah.
And so this is just literally, I was gonna say foot to the floor. I guess what's the equivalent of foot to the floor on motorbike? Hand to the whatever. As fast as you can go, front to finish, world champion. And this is, how many years have you been doing this on the international level?
I debuted in 2016. So, I think this was my
16,
my
17,
fourth year.
18, 19. So this is your 4th year. And before that, though, you had a lot of success in New Zealand. I saw some images of you and racing guys in New Zealand.
Yep.
But internationally on the world scene, there's a women's category and a men's category.
Yep.
What's the rationale for that? Is there a difference with strength and stuff throwing the bikes around?
I mean, I think that one's definitely given. I think any sport you can't really compare the females to the males. You look at the tennis, you look at the footy. They don't compete in that same level. I think the men are obviously a lot stronger, and dirt bikes it takes a lot of strength, a lot of endurance, and although there's a lot of skill involved in our sport, it's not just purely who can go the fastest or who can hold the throttle on. There is a lot of tactics involved, like skill and technique plays a big part, especially in the World GPs. The tracks can get pretty technical and rough. So
and how many cc's are the bikes?
250s.
Okay, because you're quite. I was surprised when you walked up. You're quite small. You're quite petite. And quite. Well, I don't know if short's a bad word, but so you'd be lighter on a bike, on a 250 bike. Surely you'd be in a straight line. You'd go faster than the guys.
I mean, it varies. Like,
right.
I guess, when you're lighter, you're going to be quicker off the line and stuff like that. But it's not like MotoGP or just like road bike racing. Like our tracks, as you saw, are rough. So it's not about necessarily being the lightest or, having, being the fastest as far. Like, there's a lot more involved in that. Like, you have to look for good lines, and the tracks are always changing, like every lap. Like, you can go around and think you found a good line, and next time you come around, that line's blowing out and you need to look for a new one. So the concentration level is very high. You got to be willing to adapt really quickly, and so there's a lot more involved from the outside in. It probably doesn't look like that, but once you get involved in that depth, there's a lot that comes into play.
Because it's a 25-minute, if all of a sudden they threw a curveball and said, right, this is a 30-minute, would you find that there's probably a lot of people that would just completely just hit the wall at 26 minutes? Do you train for that 25, or do you just train hard?
I mean, a little bit. Like, you'll sit out and you'll do 25, but I'm that athlete that changes up my training, so I won't always go out and do 25 minutes. I'll do longer, or I'll do shorter motos and stuff like that. But
in New Zealand, do you have to? You're competing against guys as well. Do they? But in New Zealand competition, is it still girls and boys sort of thing? Guys and gals, or is it?
I thought it would just be numbers, isn't it? Wouldn't it just be numbers? Is not enough to make a female category in New Zealand?
No, actually, I think the females you'll find probably the biggest size class in New Zealand at the moment, I think.
But you are competing directly against guys as well, or is there actually different heats?
Well, like, I grew up, and growing up there wasn't really the females class here, so it was either race the guys or don't race at all. And to be honest with you, I wanted to race the guys anyway. There was a huge challenge involved in that, and I just enjoyed that. So,
like, trying to find an analogy, like, if you were trying to learn how to play rugby, you wouldn't want to, like, if you had the opportunity to train with the All Blacks, not saying guys are like the All Blacks because they're just naturally better or anything like that, but it's just, if you're going to play against somebody to train, you want to play against somebody that's going to really push you. Because if you can beat them, then you know you can beat pretty much anybody else.
Yeah, sure. I mean, it helped me to where I am today, put it that way.
But it also sounds like you're saying, like, I mean, you often see at primary school level, which is younger than we're talking about for you, but at primary school level, if one or two girls want to play rugby, they have to play with the boys because there's not a girls rugby team.
Yeah, for sure. It's the same sort of thing.
Yeah.
And then once you get that little bit older and into the kind of senior category, then they split difference and you go off in your own class. So
yeah, but I was going to just jump back to what we were talking about before. I'm thinking about, I've lost her name. There was a woman who competed in the same motorsport racing as Scott Dixon, the Indy cars, and females competing against the guys. But that's literally, I don't think. I mean, there probably is kids.
Danica something.
Yeah, Danica Patrick.
Danica
that's who it is. But really, that's not really a lot of strength necessarily because everything's, I'm assuming, hydraulic and all that sort of stuff. Whereas you're actually literally moving and throwing the bikes around, so strength would make the difference for the guys versus girls.
Yeah, there's a lot of strength involved. In,
do you train with the lads though?
Yeah, for sure.
And in those trainings, because you're a competitive person, you must have a crack every now and again. How does that go?
Yeah, for sure. Like, I'm competitive, so I think every time I line up, I want to win. That's given, and I don't think that matters who I'm racing or where I'm racing. But it's good. It's good to replicate, racing from the practice side of things as well. So having guys, and I have a couple of local friends here that are really good and help, push me and get me into good shape before I go overseas and stuff. So it's good.
I know that the New Zealand netball team like playing against the men's netball team because of the physicality.
Yep.
They like the contact and they like the ability to play against bigger, stronger individuals in their sport. So that's cool. Are you a bike rider through and through? Have you got street bikes and stuff? Do you ride them around town?
Nah, I'm not into that side of things. I don't think you'll ever see me riding on the road.
Really?
Nah, not really into it.
How come?
Don't know, just never been a fan. I don't think my parents really pushed it. They weren't big fans.
Any part of you with the danger aspect? Don't want to kind of get knocked off? Yeah,
a little bit. I mean, riding a road bike against big trucks and stuff on the road's probably not the safest thing. But whatever you're into, eh?
Yeah, and you've been competing for 4 years internationally.
Yep.
I'm just thinking about being knocked off your bike and stuff. Have you had any significant or severe injuries in that time?
Yeah, heaps. I mean, like, up until this year, I've been injured each season. I've had, I think, 4 ACL reconstructions.
Wow.
In my life. I did my first 2 when I was, like, 14.
Right.
Or something,
is the ACL quite a common one within the industry sort of thing? Like, just like rugby players, it's ACL. It's like it's same for motocross.
Yeah, it's probably the most common.
Is that right? Because that's injury. Because I guess because you're putting your feet down a lot on the corners. And I was thinking about rugby players and they get from impact.
Yeah.
And you're on a bike, but you are obviously doing 60 going to a corner, putting your foot into the ground. Yeah. Wow.
Yeah, it's way higher impact. Like if you're coming with a lot of speed around the corner and you dab your leg, like it's going to hyperextend and there's a chance of ACL. So.
Yikes.
Is it one of those things? Because I don't know what it is. I'm just saying, like sometimes with skateboarding and stuff like that, they sometimes wear how many bones they've broken as a badge of honor. It's sort of like is it like that as well, or
no? I mean, I would rather have no injuries than injuries. It's not like who can get the most injuries. I think it's more like who can stay away from getting injured.
So, as a professional athlete, you started riding when you were 7ish.
Mm-hmm.
When did you get identified by, like, because you were with Yamaha at one stage and you're now with Kawasaki, when do you get identified? Like, did someone, like, I mean, I'm thinking about the equivalent in the music world, someone will get picked up and signed at 13, or in this day and age in American sport, kids are getting signed to, or in England to football or to basketball teams, like in our equivalent of intermediate school. Mm-hmm. What happens for you? When you get noticed and how do you get kind of picked up?
I mean, like, I got my first deal with bike manufacturers and clothing sponsors at like 12 or something. Wow. 10, maybe a little bit younger. By But as far as like when did I go pro, that was when I was 2016. And I mean, it's tough to go overseas and get like you can't just go, okay, I'm good, sign me. Like you have to actually go overseas and showcase something for people to want to sign you.
So
like,
in that very first season of international, like 2016, is much of that money coming out of your back pocket, or is that a full sponsored ride at that stage?
So like the first round, was pretty much my parents helped me get there. So to showcase something, and obviously like I went 1-1 there, so I got some help to go on further and stuff like that. So but you have to get there first. It's not just like hey, like I'm good, can you give me a ride? Like no, like you gotta make your way over there and showcase, and that's the same for everyone over here. And I think that's the reality of it. But it's tough for Kiwis, it's probably why we don't see as many, because the cost to get over there in the first place are, horrendous. You got to get a bike, and just the flights alone, it's a long way to go. So yeah.
Jace,
I was just picturing you like at your first one, because you showed up on your parents' dime, and like, have you ever seen the movie Cool Runnings?
No.
I'm trying to think if there's any other films like that too, but you rock up to the first event and you've got your spot, your place where you can do your tuning and everything like that. Get bike, make sure it's all sweet after the trip.
Yep.
And you've got maybe your little plastic toolbox with your tools and your bike.
Yep.
And like a kickstand, and then you're sitting next to these guys that have got like a truck with like full tuning equipment and just kitted out with Snap-on, and it's just like big marquees with branding and stuff on it, and you're just sitting there you don't even have a tent over your top of thing. Was it a bit like that? It's sort of like looking at the guys going, wow, okay, yeah, or is everybody actually pretty like sort of bootstraps, just do their own thing sort of anyway?
Nah, like it's all pretty.
So you're like sitting next to guys that have got like trucks of gear and 5 spare bikes and all that sort of stuff.
Usually, if it's European. But for me, my first race was an overseas GP. Like we raced in Doha, so in Qatar. So they're all flyouts. So everyone was pretty much the same. Everyone ships a bike out from Europe, and we get white marquees, and we go race overseas. So everyone's in the same boat sort of thing there. But if I had gone from here over to Europe, then it would have been like that.
So your base, like I'm just thinking about, you've just come home. So I read your story online. I went, oh, it's an Eden person. Contacted you and you've come in. So thanks for that. But I'm wondering as well, now your base, you've obviously got bikes and gear and all that kind of stuff. You're not going to bring them all back to New Zealand. So where are they all stored, like whilst you've come back for Christmas?
Yeah, so like I'm based here in Dunedin. So I do like all my pre-season, and I even actually come home throughout the season sometimes if we get a big break. So I'll do that from here. Other than that, I'm in England with my team. They're based out of there. So, it's all over in the workshop over there.
So you've got a full setup in the UK?
Yeah.
Bikes and all that. They're all left there. You don't transport them back home?
No, because I race for a team. So I'm fortunate enough to get all, like, I don't have to organise any of that sort of thing. Like I go over there, my team have my bike ready, my practice bike ready, my suspension set up. I have my practice mechanic over there. I have a race mechanic, a team manager, and I have a really good team over there. And obviously, that's a huge help and stuff. And when I come here, I kind of doing it on my own with like my mate and his dad, and just help me out here. So
Do you remember that pinch me moment where you kind of went, I've come from here, I looked after myself, and shit, now I've got a practice mechanic? Can you remember when that happened, like that transition from becoming a part of the team and having all these resources? Yeah,
so that was like 2016 when I was with Yamaha, when I was with JCR. So I pretty much gone from, like my dad helping me out and doing stuff from home into, moving into a team and having, a practice mechanic and stuff like that. And no, it's definitely humbling. Like for me, I mean, it helps a lot. Like, as an athlete, you're training and you're riding, and that takes a huge toll on the body, let alone having to come back and wash your bike and service your bike and get all that ready as well. That just makes the load even harder and limits the recovery. So it's good to have that mostly done for me.
And speaking of recovery, is there a lot of training outside? Is there a lot of training off the bike? Like I'm thinking about a lot of athletes will have, ice baths and hot baths and massaging and that kind of stuff. Is there a lot of that sort of thing in your professional life now as well?
Oh yeah, 100%. Like I've done that. Obviously it's more serious now that I'm pro, but I mean I was doing that sort of thing when I was like 12 years of age.
Right.
To give you guys an example for people that don't know, like our heart rate goes to near 200 when we're racing and stuff like that. And it's been proven that it's probably one of the most physically demanding sports out there. So just riding our bike's not enough. You've got to do, your whole warm up, all your pre-activation before you ride. You got to do all your cool down. Obviously, I'm here in high performance. I got a gym trainer and stuff, and we got programs set. And it's full on, but you have to be ready. You have to be fit and in shape. And obviously, if not, the injury risk is higher as well.
Yeah, right.
So you just have to be prepared.
When does your next season start?
So end of Feb. So it's starting a month earlier this year, and first round's actually a home GP for the team, so it's exciting. England round 1, and I'm looking forward to it.
So does that mean you're basically in New Zealand for a month or so?
So I've been home. My season finishes in September, so I spend from October till February back home.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. So
and then basically, unless there's big breaks, February through to October off. So is that 6 months? It's almost 6 months.
Yeah, it's a 6 month season. Yep. Yeah. But we have some big breaks. Like I'll come home once or twice. This year I come home twice. But it depends how the season's set out, and if there's a break that's long enough, I'll come home, or depending on where we're at, if I need some more time with the team, I need some more testing, then I can stay over there. It's not like it's set in stone. I'll make the decisions kind of as they come.
Yeah, cool. I was just thinking, do you have to think about the responsibility of you not getting injured when you're away from the team? Mm-hmm. Does the team drill that into you at all? Is it like, again, silly analogy, but I'm thinking about when someone's making a movie, they're not allowed to go skiing in case they get an injury, sort of thing. Do you have anything that kind of your team back in England, which is a long way away, says, please make sure X, Y, Z?
Yeah. I mean, like in my contract, there's no dangerous hazards sort of thing. So I'm not going to come home in winter and go snowboarding or skiing.
Which is ironic because your sport is sort of a dangerous hazard.
Yeah, sure, but like that comes to me more natural than walking because I've done it since I was 7 years of age. But I'll usually speak to them regards, what races I can do here in New Zealand and what's coming up and stuff like that. And but they have a good say in that sort of thing.
But you do that. I was thinking, is there what's the season in New Zealand for motocross?
So it goes over the summer.
Yeah, I was going to say.
It's kind of like, I think, November till March or something like that.
So now that you're the world champion, will there be available to you appearances, like come up, we'll bring you up for Taupo and come and do the race here, and we'll kind of earmark that you're coming the world champion? Is that sort of thing starting to happen now?
Yeah, for sure. If I want to do that sort of thing, I think there's possibility to do that. For me, it's kind of been the first year I've won the championship, so off the back of that, there's been a lot of promos and media things, and
a lot of this sort of crap.
I've been pretty busy actually the whole off season, so I'm only just getting back into training, as of last week. So if anyone sort of wants to get in hold of me before the first round, it's going to be hard because my head's down and I'm back to work. So just going to do what it takes. So.
Yeah, which is genuinely why we appreciate you coming in here as well.
Yeah, no.
Do you have an agent, like a manager? And where are they based, if you've got one?
I have some people that help me out.
Yeah.
Obviously thankful for that. And
because I'm thinking about if that, not that I'm suggesting they should, but if that Motocross and Taupo wanted to connect with you to come and say, would they go to your England base and say, this is your team, they need to connect you through there? Or do you have a one-on-one sports manager?
They'll usually probably come to me, send me a message and stuff. So, and then I can flick it on, or I can say, no, it doesn't suit. It just depends, eh?
Nice. What's the lifespan of a motocross rider? What are the oldest guys and girls doing it?
That varies. Obviously, probably injuries are a big part of that.
But in general, you say for a professional rugby player, they're kind of mid-30s.
Yeah.
If they get late 30s, they're considered really old.
Yeah.
That sort of thing. What is it sort of in the motocross world?
Probably mid-30s are probably retiring age. But, you've got greats that have retired at 26, 27. They've already won 10 championships and, they want to leave on top. Because you're probably at your prime around then. At 35, it's very rare that you're going to be at your prime then. But it's hard. You see athletes that they find it so hard to step away because they've done it for so long. They thrive off that pressured situation. They enjoy what they do and they don't want to give it up. So it just varies. I mean, I think every individual's different. I mean, it's the same with footy. Look at Richie. He come home after the World Cup. He retired, whether there was other athletes that went on. So it just varies. I don't think I could put a, path and when I'm going to retire. It would just be something as far as year by year basis.
But it is something that you're saying in general for most people.
Yep.
Not necessarily talking about you here. That sort of from here on in, there's about a 10-year career.
Yeah, let's say that.
And is that something that ever does cross your mind though? Like what happens next, or are you just so in the moment right now? That's a decision for another day.
Yeah, I feel like I'm only really starting my career.
Yeah.
I'm still young. I'm 23. I've won one championship, and I feel like I have multiple to deliver in the future. And as long as I'm healthy, and most importantly, more than anything, as long as I'm enjoying it, I'll be there, lining up on the gate round one each year, and hopefully, bring home some more titles.
Are you someone who's trained in any other area? Like, do you have any other skills? You know what I mean? It's like, did you go to uni? Did you get anything else? No, so you're all in.
Yeah, obviously I did schooling and stuff, and when I was old enough, I left school and I went all in. But I don't know, I've kind of thought about maybe doing some study correspondence and stuff, but I'm so busy just doing everything with my travel and racing, and I want to, whatever I do, I want to do it to the best of my ability. Mm-hmm. That's every aspect of my job, like my sponsors part, if I'm doing some guest speaking, if I'm doing some promos, whatever part of my job I'm doing, I want to do it to the 100%. So all my focus is on that, and winning races and building my brand and stuff like that at the moment. So as far as study, that's probably not, the likelihood in the next few years anyway.
But still, you're now, obviously I don't know how many world champions there are in New Zealand at the moment, but you're now amongst the elite athletes in New Zealand. I was thinking when you talked about Richie, just like that, since winning the world championship for the first time, has there been connections with other either people in that world, athletes themselves, or, groups in that world, and you've started to sort of, for want of a less wanky word, network in that area more in New Zealand? Have you been speaking to, heard from other people in that elite level?
A little bit. But yeah, I think as I get on, as I continue to win races and hopefully championships, obviously that grows as you go. But yeah.
I think with the Eva Swindell twins retiring and Sarah Ulmer retiring, there's a place on that beef. Was it the lamb billboard that all those girls did?
Beef and lamb.
Beef and lamb billboard. There you go. They should certainly be in touch. What's the name of the BMXer? Sarah Walker. So there you go. Up there with her doing stuff. That'd be cool. Yeah,
for sure.
So you're back in Dunedin for Christmas. Me and Jason were just talking about this before you came in, about actual Christmas. What does your Christmas look like?
It's just family time, eh?
Yeah.
Like I say, I'm away a lot of the season, so for me to be able to spend it with my family and sit down and have Christmas lunch or whatever that is, just enjoy it really. I'm kind of past the age of presents and stuff, so it's more about just getting together as a family and cherishing that time together. But I'll be around home. My parents are actually from Palmerston, just north of Dunedin, and
right. So that's where home base is?
No, I'm in Dunedin nowadays, but I grew up just north of Dunedin, so
So do you live independently from your parents when you're at home?
Yep.
Right. Not suggesting you shouldn't, but you think being away for 6 months and home for 6 months maybe, I don't know.
Yeah.
So we were just talking about it because Jason's got this massive Christmas coming up with 300 people going to it, and I just wondering how people do it. What's when you say the family? Is it mum and dad and siblings, or is it uncles and aunts and cousins, or what does it look like?
Yeah. It will be just auntie and uncle and cousins and grandparents and stuff. It's not like a huge Christmas do, but there'll be 15 people or something like that.
Nice. A good time of year for you? Is it the most wonderful time of the year, as they say? Or was Monaco the most wonderful time of the year?
That was really cool, but I'd probably pick, spending time with my family over, that if I had the choice. So,
did they get across to see you at all? Like when you were competing, especially through Europe?
Yeah.
Do they ever get across once a year or something to come see what you're up to?
Yeah, usually. I usually have some, family or friends and stuff like that come over for a race a year. And I had a few there for the final So that was cool. Like especially with being my maiden world championship, I think that one's extra special. So I had some really close family friends there as well, which was special. And like I say, that was for all of us as well.
Yeah, I guess because your journey as to where you are now has been since you were 7, so 16 years of kind of family effort to get you to where you are.
Yeah, 100%. Like there was so much gone into it, and I think, you know, the goal was always that as well. Like the goal was to be world champion one day, you know, not at 7, but at, you know, 12 or 13, when that was probably the turning point for me. And since that day, it was like just so driven on that one goal. Like there was nothing really as far as like, you know, obviously I always wanted to win. I wanted to win everything I did, but, you know, the goal was to be world champion one day. And, you know, I failed 3 times before I achieved that one. And, that was tough. So to finally clinch that, like, I mean, I don't think there's a word that describes how good that feeling was, you know.
It's interesting you would say you failed 3 times. I mean, that means you're including sort of your rookie year, where you basically turned up as an amateur, basically, and then kind of got signed. Most people, I guess what I'm referencing is you can hear the competitive nature of you. Most people wouldn't consider their first year doing it as a failure. They'd consider it, I'm finally in here now. But you're obviously just that competitive. When you got there on day one, you're like, I want to win.
Yeah, for sure. Like, I mean, I think the thing for me by saying I failed was I had the potential and the ability to win. Like I won my first race, I went 1-1. So
wow. Hang on. So the first race you ever competed in, you came in first.
Yeah, so I went 1-1 on my debut. So from that side of things, looking in, like this should have happened a lot earlier. I mean, it had the potential to, but I mean, I guess we don't have to say fail because, I mean, I learned a lot. I grew a lot as an athlete. I grew a lot, more importantly, as an individual. Became a lot more independent on that, and I wouldn't trade it. You know, like whatever come with it. You know, like the 4 championships. If I sat here right now, like I'd rather, honestly, and this is fully truthfully, I'd rather take what I learned. Like, I mean, yeah, it's definitely helped me today, and you know, like I still got that championship this year, and no one can take that one from me. So
yeah, I remember, even though you did literally get a medal, I remember John Walker always talking about what was more important, and the physical winning was more important to him than like world records when it comes to time. Yeah. So for his running, it was always the medal was more important than the world record, because the medal was a physical thing that no one could ever take away from you. Yeah. Someone's going to beat the record. I mean, no matter what happens from here on in, no one's ever going to take away that world championship title. 2019. That's you. So for the rest of now, your email signature can be world champion. World champion. I'm interested, what was different this season versus last season? So what was the difference that went from a non-world championship year to a world championship winning year?
Okay, that's a good question. For me, obviously, first and foremost is experience. Like, I mean, you're making mistakes, and there comes a point where you need to learn from this. Otherwise, you're just doing that same thing over and over. And each year we kind of look at the stat board and you know, look at what we could do better and what we could do wrong, better and what we did wrong and stuff like that. And obviously that was a big part of it. But for me, I made a switch mid-season.
Is that the bikes?
Yeah. And I'm not necessarily saying it was the bikes. I'm just saying I was in a really deep, dark rut. You know, 3 years of misfortunes. In 2018, I pretty much, like, I had my hand on the trophy. Like, I had a 25-point lead with, 2 rounds to go.
Wow.
And in a motocross world, that's, like, pretty much you're not going to get beaten in that situation. And I injured my foot really bad, and I wasn't even allowed to opt to try ride out, the rest of the rounds. I had to just go, okay, suck it up. You've just lost a championship that you pretty much had. And that took me to some tough spots. And I knew at that point that something needed to change. Like, otherwise it was going to be like insanity. I'd be doing the same thing over and over again. So we changed brands, we changed teams, and that came with a lot of new motivation. I was back in a place where I was wanting to go ride. I was excited to go ride.
Wow.
Obviously, the Kawasaki, it felt great. I had a really good team, a really supportive team.
But are you also saying that the actual physical nature of the bike, the performance of the bike wasn't that different? Or it was, because I'm thinking about Michael Schumacher, they would always say of him, if he wasn't racing for Ferrari, he wouldn't have had the same world championship. There was something about the Ferrari makeup that helped him.
No, like, I mean, hey, I love the Kawi and I think it suits me great. Like, I think it suits me perfect. It's for a little rider, it's a lot slimmer, so that suits me a lot better. But a dirt bike is a dirt bike, and if you have the skill and you have the ability, I mean, you can win on, any bike. I mean, I went out there and won the last 3 seasons. I won races and stuff on the Yemi, so it's not like, okay, I need this bike to win, but obviously it helped me. It suited me a lot, and I had a really good team and really supportive. And one thing that my boss did, he was really, he heard me out. He sat down and, what would work for me. And obviously the biggest thing was I chose to commute. The first 3 years I never come home, and this year was the first time I came home. So in those big breaks, like we have 8 to 12 week breaks, I decided to fly home instead of just sitting over there and counting down the days, counting down, the hours to the fact of going racing again. I was over here making the days count. And you're over there, and it can be lonely, it can be tough. I mean, I lived on my own over there, and all you have is sort of race train, and you get into a situation where you just find yourself doing the same thing over and over again. And for me to come home, I would still work as hard. I would still put in the hours at the gym. I'd still put in the hours at the track. But away from that, I was really able to break free and, not worry or think about the championship or think about the bike situation. I could, go down the road and hang out with my friends and, go out for dinner with my family and stuff like that. And that really made a big difference to, my mental side of the thing.
So when you moved to Kawasaki, that was part of the negotiations? You're like, I want to be able to go home? That's what you're saying? Yeah,
well, it just worked. And my boss understood that. Like, he had a lot of overseas races before, and he believed in that 100%. And yeah, like we have big breaks. It's different if I'm racing every 2 weeks, every 3 weeks, then I'd be over there. But when you've got 10 weeks until your next race, I mean, like for me, I'm going to get back on the plane and come home. And
because you could easily come home for 6 weeks and then still have 4 to 6 weeks for prep time.
Yeah, exactly. So and it's not like I'm not doing my prep here. Like I did all my hard yards here last year, like all my boot camps, and like I put the hammer down here and made some big gains and just showed up there ready to race and, fresh. And once I got there, it was like 2 weeks, a week before the race, and I was hungry. And I mean, you got to find out what works for you. Sometimes that might not work for athletes, but for me, it helps me and brings the best out of me. So that's what we're going to do.
I'm interested, you said about last season as well, the injury you had, and I'll paraphrase what I thought you said, was you weren't even allowed to attempt to try to ride.
Yep.
So there are medical people put in place that basically the decision's out of your hands. Is that what they do for the rider's safety?
Yeah, like, I mean, at the end of the day, if I wanted to be an idiot, I could have gone out there and raced. But at 22 years of age, I was at the time to take a permanent risk like that when I felt like deep down I had years to go out there and win. That would have been a stupid decision. So as hard as it was, I had to, bite the bullet on that one and suck it up. And obviously it's easier said than it was at the time. It was a tough situation to be in for me, but I believe in good surgeons and people around me, and I had very smart doctors and surgeons, and it wasn't just one advice. I saw 3 or 4 different surgeons, and they all said the same thing, like, you can't risk this anymore. And at this stage, even to break then, I was still, I think I had a 6-month injury. So if it had been any worse, it could have been a couple of years. And in a professional sport, a couple of years injury, that means you're pretty much done,
And I guess, not to obviously get into your personal financial businesses, but if you did have a couple of years break, you're kind of financially screwed as well.
Yeah,
everything.
Yeah, like it's more the fact that you're out and you don't have a ride, and it's hard to get back in. You got so many guys that are good and pushing for those top spots with limited rides available. If you have 2 years on the couch, you're probably not going to get hired. Like, it's hard to go, okay, I can go out there and win, but you haven't been racing for 2 years. So no one really, no one's going to take that risk in that. So
you'd have to basically start all over again.
Yeah.
Go over on your own ticket and try and win that very first race and be 1-1. And
yeah, pretty much.
What about the US? It sounds like basically what you're doing at the moment is based in Europe. What about the US? And I guess I kind of think about the flashy Americans with sort of what they do in extreme sports. That seems to be where a lot of the money is, certainly when it comes to, sponsorship and that kind of stuff. Is part of your circuit or part of your plan to kind of conquer them as well?
Not really. I mean, they have their different competition. They do AMA, and they've got a really strong Supercross series. So if you're into Supercross, a lot of the Europeans will leave and go down that track. But for me, the ultimate is to win world titles, and I want to see how many of those I can rack up. And I mean, hey, at some stage I might go, you know what, I've had enough of this. I want to look for a different route to go down and look for different championships and different challenges and what else do I want to achieve. But as far as, right here, right now, I've signed with my team for 2 more years and hopefully that will, bring me a couple of championships.
So what's the difference between Supercross and Motocross? The Supercross, the ones we see inside the stadiums?
Yep. So I'm not sure if you heard, but NZS6 Open come to Auckland, Mount Smart, like a month ago. So that was like a Supercross race, just in a stadium, pretty much just heaps of jumps and smaller laps.
That's made to look more spectacular for the viewer?
Yeah.
Where yours is, for want of a better word, a bit more pure riding?
Yep.
Is that a fair way of separating them?
Yeah, sure, and you get more diehard fans at the GP circuit, like it's more tradition, I guess, They grew up watching, 10 years ago, their idols, and those same fans still come to the races, and they love the sport. Whether like Supercross, you'll have people that kind of don't even know what dirt bikes are, but there's the event on in a stadium in town.
But it's a spectacular event.
Yeah, for
a spectacle.
Sure. Yeah, it's cool. It's cool if you're sitting in the grandstands watching.
Yeah, and I guess you're you can be very close, can't you? Like if you're on a rugby field, then everyone's within 100 metres of you, sort of at all times.
Yeah.
What about you when you have fun on a bike? Are you someone like, you watch nutters do things like backflips and stuff on in that kind of Supercross type event? Are you someone who goes out there and is that any of that kind of stuff interest you? You're into it?
Nah, not at all. I never have been. It's never kind of caught my attention. For me, kind of the enjoyment comes from getting better, honestly. And that's something that's a little bit strange. I had that from a really young age, like the enjoyment and the fun factor come from feeling the improvements each time I rode. And I enjoyed that. So I would go out and do heaps of laps and sections and try to get better. And once I could feel the improvements, that's when, that's the part that I enjoyed instead of just going and riding around.
Are you someone who, I'm just thinking about you as a kid. Like I've got a 15-year-old, a 13-year-old and a 10-year-old daughters. And I'm just thinking about you as a kid, about being so focused on this and just wanting to get better. Did that translate into other parts of your life as a child? Like, were you the kind of kid who always had a tidy room because you wanted it to be just so and just right? Or are there other areas you can see that that attribute you've got flowing over into?
A little bit. That's funny. Like as a kid, I was so immaculate with my bedroom and everything, and nowadays it's a little bit more messy. But I was pretty driven, but I had to enjoy it. So if it was a subject at school that I had no interest in, it didn't catch my attention, then I wouldn't give it the time of the day. So it had to come from me enjoying it, and if I enjoyed it, then I'd obviously put a lot of effort into that. And but yeah, I've always been pretty committed and pretty organized, and had a pretty big work ethic and stuff like that. And I mean, it's. I think it goes without saying, if you want to be good at something, you got to work for it. It doesn't just get handed to you. And I think my parents did really well with, introducing that to me at a young age. If you want this, you have to work for it, So, and they were really hard workers and stuff like that. So it kind of just, drummed it into me a little bit. And,
we talked about last season about what was different from this season. What about next season? I mean, how are you going to keep what you've got? I mean, how are you going to be a twice over world champion?
Obviously I'm going to have to improve. When you win a championship, people want to take that from you, no doubt about it. And they're going to come in, and competition's going to be tough next year. I have no doubt in that, but I'm going to work hard, and I haven't lost any motivation. I think I've gained more. I know that feeling. Like I watched a video of me winning, and it's just like, man, it fires me up so much.
Now that you've got one, you want more.
Yeah, I
Give
want
me
more.
more.
Yeah, for sure, 100%.
The best drug on the planet.
yeah. Now I wanna go out there next year and do good again. And but I don't think I'll have the same preparation. Like, I want to do it different. I don't think going in the same's the right idea. I want it to be, motivating and fresh, and looking for areas to, be better. And now, like, we're getting into preseason, so we're going to look back at some footage and continue to work hard on the programs and put a big work in, and hopefully come out swinging in Feb.
And where do you train around Dunedin? There's obviously is there tracks around Dunedin, or is there a farm with a mate with a farm who's got stuff set up? How does that work?
Yeah, so like I train at kind of like Waihola. Tea Tree Park is kind of like my home ground. Those guys there, I've been a part of the club since I was 7.
Right.
That was the first club I was a part of, and I'm still with them today. So it's cool to have those guys. And I spent, like this year, I spent a lot of time down at Clutha. Back Clutha, they have a nice track down there. And, Invercargill has got a little bit more sand, so I ventured down there. And Timaru's got a track, but there is a lot of travel. It's not just
so what have you got like a 4x4 and a trailer, and your bike's on the back of a trailer, and you just drive off?
No, I got a high ace, so just chuck the bikes
on
in
the
back.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, so it's good, But a lot of travel as far as like to be good at something, you need to work on those tracks and work on the technical track side of things. So it does take a little bit more. It's not like I'm going to go practice some footy skills and just go to the local field.
Yeah.
It's a little bit easier.
Different surfaces. I think Doha would be sandier than what you're going to do in England in your first race back sort of thing.
Yeah, England's pretty hard packed, and round 2 the following weekend's in Holland, so it's deep sand. So we go from one condition to another, so it'll be like, it's pretty much chalk to cheese, but it's good. It makes you have to be well-rounded on the World GP circuit. It's not just like the same track, same conditions. You have to be good in all areas on all conditions, and you never know what the weather's going to bring, so you have to be good in the mud, and rain, hail, sun, whatever, we always throw down, and they never stop for nothing.
When you talk about watching video pre-season, etc., is that something you do like with your team across the internet? Do you have like weekly catch-ups while you're back here, or is it something you just do with your mate and your mate's dad sort of thing, and you just keep an eye on it?
Yeah.
So it's not an official kind of coach.
No.
It's just you and your shall I say motocross colleagues in this part of the world checking your videos out.
Pretty much, like from that aspect, I don't have any sort of one that helps me from that side of things. I don't have a coach or nothing like that. It's all got to work it out on my own. It's tough sometimes, but I've pretty switched on as far as like the watch and learn policy sort of thing. And like I am an athlete that always wants to be better. Like I'll never settle on nothing. Like I'm always looking for that edge and stuff. So it doesn't take too much for me to find some things that are going to benefit me.
But you can watch your videos and you can go, missed that, need to improve here. So you can self-evaluate.
Yeah, for sure. Sometimes it's hard to watch, especially when you have a bad race. You're like, oh man, do I have to watch this?
When you're in your team setting back in the UK, are there people in the team who then also do that?
No.
So you still just do it yourself?
Yeah.
So it sounds like your team is set up to be obviously corporate, but then also technical support, like the mechanics and that sort of thing. But you sort of drive, not literally drive, but you push yourself and you evaluate yourself.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Is that how pretty much all teams work? Because I guess...
Nah, you've got some that will sit down and watch video footage and stuff like that. Quite a lot probably do that. Yeah.
Wow. That's fascinating.
Yeah.
I know that I've come across like someone who
like,
knows nothing, and I apologise about that, but it's I guess I think about what we do here as kind of having conversations with people often that you don't know too much about, but I think if there's lots of information that'll educate me, then there are a lot of people watching and listening, it'll also educate them as well. So it's cool. It's cool to learn how it all works. Yeah, no, for sure. And like the sport's not huge here. So it is cool for people, and people, like I said at the start, like from the outside in, it's completely different to what you expect. So so when someone goes out, like I've got a mate who's got a farm in Huntley, and his farm bike is a dirt bike, and he got it on purpose so he can go out and race in the weekends and stuff. When he goes and does that, is that motocross to what you sort of do, or would that be more 3 laps winner at the end of it and do 10 of those a day? Yeah, I mean
like from that side of things change all the time. Like
Yeah,
for
right.
instance, I was down in down Southland on Wednesday night doing twilight, and I showed up and we got 1 look lap for practice, and then we got 4 lap sprint races, and we
Right.
got 3 of them. So like for me, that's like
4 lap sprint races. So they're
Yeah.
4 races
4
on
laps.
1 lap. Oh, 4. So 4 times around the track.
yeah,
Right.
And then the last one got cut short to 2 laps. So
Right.
like for me, that's like we never do races like that. But I mean, it's good to change it up. And
I was going to
stuff
say.
like
So
that,
do you find that kind of freshening things up and doing things a bit differently? It's fun.
Yeah, it's cool. It's cool.
I imagine
and,
doing like a sprint race would potentially be another good way to talk, because if you know you're going to get 25, well, if you know you're going to get sort of 12 13 laps in a
Yeah.
race, you've got 12 or 13 attempts at that corner to get it perfect. And so as you say, it does change, but if you've got 4 laps, the first lap has to be perfect, the second lap has to be perfect, the third lap has to be perfect, the fourth lap has to be perfect. You can't have like an off lap that you can then catch up on the next lap because you've only got a couple of laps. Do you find it actually is a good training tool potentially? Or?
Yeah, for sure. Like for me, one down point, once I got into the GPS was doing a hot lap. Like I was never very good at doing hot laps, and that's one super fast lap. I find my hot lap is the pace I can go the whole race. Whether like
Right.
a lot of Europeans, especially French, are very, very good at their hot laps. And, they were just groomed from a young age at that. They had to do that growing up. So situations like he was just mentioning before, doing, some 2 lap sprint laps, you've kind of got to be perfect, and you can't afford to, slip up or make a mistake. So
I would also think, therefore, if you're third off the line and there's 2 people in front of you on a longer 14 lap race, you've got 14 laps to let them make a mistake or find your perfect angle, whereas it obviously cuts it down.
Yeah,
more
you
and
don't
more
have
and
to
more.
rush it, and there's a big part of a lot of my mistakes in the years. I wanted to win from lap 1, where why? I mean, it doesn't make any difference whether I pass into the lead on lap 10 or I pass into the lead on lap 1, as long as I'm leading. On that last lap, that's the same amount of points that I'm going to get from the start. So just situations like that.
Do you think that, like, I'm just thinking, as you say, it's not just physical training. You've got to be mentally there as well. You've got to be able to assess and think 5 corners ahead, 10 corners ahead. Do you think the hot lap's also a bit of psychological warfare as well? Like if you've got people that are trained not to do hot laps like yourself, and then somebody comes blasting past you on their hot lap, is that like a little bit? Do you think it's a little bit about trying to get into the competitors' heads a little bit too?
I mean, yeah, it always
And
helps.
is that something you train against? You got to go, right, no, that guy's trained to do a hot lap. He just passed me. I'm going to get him again because he's done his hot lap. He's blown his wad, for a lack of a better term. I'm going to get him.
Yeah, so like your hot lap in qualifying is your gate pick for the weekend.
Yeah, so that gives you your pole position.
Yeah, pole position. So a lot of the time, there's no point in getting caught up if I'm 4th fastest. Like I know when it comes race time that, I'm going to be just as fast, if not faster than them. Like I'm a racer. So when you put me on the line and you put something in front of me, I'm going to chase it down. Like until I have to do something, I won't always do it, if you know what I mean.
Do you have is there something that traditionally happens in your races? Are you someone who likes to be sort of to work their way through the pack, or you like to be out in front straight away, or how do you typically race, be it circumstantially or your choice?
I prefer just to take advantage and go from the start and get in my own pace and go for it, because I believe that I have a little bit more pace than them. If you get stuck into their pace, then it's hard to get out of that. So if I'm feeling comfortable on the track and stuff, then I like to nail the pass on the first
And I
lap
guess
and
with
go for it.
the race being a timed race as opposed to a number of laps, the further you get ahead, the better. Whereas if it's a number of laps, you can sit behind someone for 22 laps and then overtake them on the 23rd and you win it. But that's risky if it's that's more risky if it's a time lap. You just want to be as far ahead as possible, wouldn't you?
No, it's not too much like that. I mean, you're always going to get the same laps. Like just because it's 25 minutes, you're always going to have. It's not significant enough to be two minutes different. So you've always got the same laps. And
do you lap people? Do you ever get to a point where you're lapping people?
Yeah.
And do they stay on when you lap them, or do they have to get off or get out of the way?
So there's blue flags, so you should move over. But
Right.
It's hard because sometimes they're in their own battle as well, So
Right.
I know.
And how many people are in the actual race?
So we have 40.
40?
40 on the line.
And are they all across in one line at the front?
Yeah, one line. Gates
Wow.
drop, we go that first corner. So
And how often, like, so let's say it's that 14 lap race, how long would it take for the person at the front, so you're at the front this time, to reach the person at the back out of those 14 laps on average, not like all the time?
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't take too long. There is a bit of a drop off in that back section. So they are quite a lot slower than us up front. So, but it varies. It varies on how technical the tracks are and stuff like that. And but yeah, it doesn't take too long until you're coming into back traffic.
When you turn up to a track now, especially in New Zealand, people know who you are. People know what's going on. So if you turn up to Timaru, people go, oh, Courtney, wow, sort of thing. Have you got branding on your vehicle, or is your vehicle?
No, but like they know from my bike graphics, and I mean, like I said, the sport's not super big, so there's not heaps of people. So if I show up and they usually know, and I've had a lot of hypes and stuff around the motocross industry and stuff like that. So.
How does it kind of like feed your ego, or does it actually kind of make you kind of feel a little bit like, oh, shame? Is it sort of like, how do you when people show up and go, oh, like like if there's like a 12-year-old kid who sees you taking your bike off the back of your truck, and like is looking at you, I'm guessing that's kind of cool because you're inspiring them. But if people show up and they're like, oh wow, is it kind of like, oh no, I'm still the same person.
Like
is it
for
weird?
For me, it's humbling, because I remember being that kid in the same position, looking up to my idols. Like I remember when BT and JC and those sorts of guys come back to New Zealand, were at local tracks, because obviously they're winning GPs at the time as well. They come back and like you're just like so fascinated because they're here and like they're the real deal. So it's just humbling to be in that position today, knowing that 15 years ago, I was looking up and wanting and dreaming about being in that position. And not many people get to that stage, and I mean, there's thousands of kids out there that would, love to be in the position I'm in, and not just, doing what I do, but given the opportunity to do what they love and pursue what they love. So for me, I don't take that for granted. It's more humbling than anything.
Do you see more girls around the tracks today than when you were 12, 13?
100%. So many more. Like when I started, there was very few. Like I say, we didn't have our own class. Even in the bigger class, there was very few numbers. And nowadays, there's crazy. I was down, like I said, Southland on the weekend, and there was a lot of girls down there riding. And I know looking at classes here in New Zealand at competitions, they have full gates sometimes, and for me that's so cool. Like it's cool to see the growth in the women's sport. And
well you will be making a difference to that though. Are you aware of that? Because it's like when the All Whites made it. They went through the World Cup and they didn't lose a game, but they didn't advance. All of a sudden, the numbers of kids playing soccer, football goes up. So you doing what you've done will be a contributing factor to the 12-year-old girls wanting to do it. Are you aware of that? And is that something that weighs on you, or is it something you're kind of like, yes, this is what we're trying to do, trying to build the stock?
Yeah, you are. It's cool, and I fully get that. Like, you need something in any sport. You need some icon and someone over there showcasing that it's possible. And this is not just to get numbers involved in the sport. This is also to get more Kiwi riders, potentially making it overseas, and that's why I feel like I'm a world champion, is because I saw Ben and Josh and Catherine overseas racing in the world championship, and for an 8-year-old kid, that shows you that it's possible. Having a Kiwi over there doing it instead of just looking over there and seeing a class full of European riders. I mean, still, if you want to make it, you'll be like, I want to be there one day. But seeing a Kiwi on the line, like, and doing well, winning championships, like that is the inspiration there. Like, for me, that was what got me over there, and hopefully, doing what I done has inspired a lot of young girls to want to go over there and race, or even just get involved, or besides that, hopefully it's inspired some up and coming junior boys and riders in general to want to go over there and race world GPs and be world champion.
Are you someone who you think may act as a bit of a conduit between New Zealand and Europe? Like, if you saw someone, or have you seen someone there like, shit, this kid could go places and not I'm not trying to say, can you hook them up? I'm like, are you someone who will, almost like as a talent scout now, if you see it, would it be the kind of thing you'd want to then pass on to your team and to other people that say you should keep an eye on this young fella from Timaru or fella S from wherever?
Yeah, for sure. If I see potential or if I got asked overseas, I mean, I'm all for helping make that transition easier for Kiwis. And I mean, I know how hard it is. I've been there, and even besides making it over there, that's still tough. Once you've got everything around you, it's still a whole lot tougher than, being a European over there, because you're overseas, you're competing away from your family, friends, you got to figure, the culture, the languages. I mean, there's so much involved. It goes deeper than that, like visas, insurances. There's a lot on the line that needs organised, and it's not easy for someone this far afield to go overseas. So,
and those kind of details now, are they handled by your team, or do you usually have to handle them yourself?
Yeah, a little bit. Yep. So my visas are, and it is getting a little bit easier, but still, I have to do a lot of that on my own and figure some stuff out. So yeah, but I mean, hey, I enjoy that aspect as well. It's not like all on a platter, You learn, and it helps you later on in life as well, having to go through these experiences and figure things out.
Yeah. Oh man, it's cool. It's cool to meet you. Thank you so much for coming in.
No worries.
What are you looking forward to Santa bringing you? I know he's not really into presents, but if it's going, other than another world championship, what will be the next best thing?
I don't know. Just hopefully another good year, and hopefully just continue to enjoy it. I think it's most important for an athlete is just to have fun and and another year healthy, and just have some fun with my friends and family.
Yeah. Hey, well, thanks for coming in.
Awesome.
People want to find out more about you. Is the best place to go to the Facebook page?
Probably the gram, probably Instagram.
Which is?
theDOC151.
All right.
I usually keep them updated on there.
Congratulations on the World Championship.
Awesome. Thanks, man.
Thanks for coming in.
Cheers.
It's been a blast.
Awesome.